So it's kind of a personal thing to me because I used to do this a lot in junior high. But anyways,
Nice.
a junior high kid named Jimmy gets in trouble for drawing his original characters in his notebook in class. One day, as he was getting scolded by the teacher in front of the class, his characters crash through the wall and tell Jimmy that they need his help. That's one thing that I remember drawing, and I remember my teacher picking up my notebook and giving me this like, "What are you doing?" face.
Welcome to the Creative Community Podcast presented by Destination Arte. I'm David.
And I'm Mark. And as brothers, we grew up telling stories together for over 15 years. And we realized as adults, we want to continue telling stories, and we want to invite you into our brothers' brain trust.
We started this podcast to share the beginning of that story, the stories that influenced us, the stories that we loved growing up, and then to continue writing that story together. And the way that we're doing that, we like to say, is we're building a community of people who work together to find creative solutions to telling inspirational stories.
Yeah, and we interview guests, and we also will sometimes play fun story games. And today on this episode, you're going to listen to one of those story games. So we have illustrator Tim Uwe on the podcast with us, and he was super generous to come on, give us his time, and he brought 3 really cool ideas that we got to talk with him about. And the way the game works is we call it half-baked stories, right? That's the format. So what we do is we each bring a couple of half-baked ideas that are just, maybe it's a sentence, maybe it's 3 sentences, but it's not quite fully formed. And then we have to decide as a group whether it's the beginning of a story, the middle of a story, or the end of a story. And then depending on which one it is, we try to fill in the missing pieces. So without further ado, let's kick it to Tim with our first idea.
Okay, so here we go. Cosmic Casuals. The Cosmic Casuals are attacked by a giant space worm and crash onto a nearby planet. They end up destroying the creature, but they soon realize why they were being attacked in the first place. The space worm's baby was suctioned to the bottom of one of the wings of their ship. And then my issue is like, where do we go from here?
Oh, wow. So tell us your Instagram handle where people can actually see these Cosmic Casuals in like the flesh.
Instagram handle is Timooe, TIMOOEE, with an underscore at the end because the one without an underscore is already taken. So
all right. So I want people to be looking at them while they listen to us talk through this story idea. So they kind of like have in their mind who these creatures are. So they've crashed. The worm attacked them. So the worm attacked them in space, or the worm attacked them when they were on the planet?
The worm attacked them in space, and they crashed on the planet. And they're stuck on this planet with no way out with the baby worm. So,
wow.
I don't know what to do with that.
It's like Dune, but with imagination. No, I'm just kidding. Because they can fly, right? They're like space worms.
Yes.
And I guess they have to decide, like, is this worm going to grow up to attack others the same way,
Yeah.
Because they have to like work through that. Mark's got something cooking, I can tell.
No. I love the baby dilemma. The baby dilemma is such a great, when you see something menacing as a baby and it's cute, that's always great conflict. Sorry, that was all I had to say. I'm still thinking.
So my question is, this is great. I think this is a great beginning because you immediately give us a conflict for us to get to know what these characters are, like what their motivations are, what their responses to a giant worm would be. And so you don't have to do any setup. Like you don't have to be like, and this is Captain so-and-so, and this is the chicken robot. Like you can just be like teeth coming down on the wing, and then everyone mans the battle stations, right? Or whatever they do in a moment of crisis. And then you have another moment of crisis immediately following, because now you get to see how all the characters react to this baby worm. So you got 2/3 of a story here, man. You just need an ending, I think.
Yeah. I think it would be fun to see the crew split over what to do about it. It would be really interesting to see them have different opinions, as to what they do. I think it would be funny if the guys split in favor of returning the worm to the mom, and the girls split in favor of the opposite, and it would just be a great, like, if the guys were just super protective of it and like trying to care for it and everything, and like the girl who's just got her gun, she's like, no, we're just getting
Yeah.
rid of it now. Like they're having to keep her from literally like, shooting it. Like they're taking turns watching it and things
That's
like that.
good. Ooh,
So.
interesting. I should
And
take
then
notes.
if there's any secret romances among the crew, then you'd have people trying to like switch sides to like win the favor of, like, oh, well, she
Yeah.
doesn't think we should keep it. Well, I mean, is it really that cool? Like, should, like
Yeah.
he really likes it, but he's
Oh,
like trying to
dude.
pretend like,
Interesting.
he's thinking, well, I mean, do we really, I mean, what do we know about it? Like,
Yeah.
That's
it tried
good.
to eat our ship, guys.
Yeah.
Oh man, taking down notes right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Because I think that would then be your third conflict. So you need
Yeah.
3. You don't want to have like a big like message from the sky, like return the worm for studying for science. Like that would be, or
Yeah.
like the commander comes in and is like, thank you for defeating the evil worm. Like, oh yay. Whereas like if you have fight the worm, now we have a worm, and then we have to solve the conflict between the crew. That's your 3. That's
Yeah.
your three acts right there.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Nice. Sounds good.
I love
to
it.
me.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cosmic Casual solved, right? We just put a stamp on it. Put a
It's on the
fork
way
in
to
it.
print right now.
I'm excited to see it, man. When are you finishing that up for real?
Dude, I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was part of
it's
your
a-
grad project.
Okay, so I'm not making a comic for my grad project.
Oh.
It's just these moments on the planet, like these illustration moments.
Okay.
Like I think the comic is just a little bit too big for me to focus on just right now at the moment. So it's just a concept right now. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Because your thesis is on composition, right? Composition
Yeah.
and illustration. Okay. So you're just
Composition.
using those moments as
Yeah.
examples. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
when it does get finished, come back to the Creative Community Podcast for your book tour, your
Yeah.
press tour. Just book us.
I'll let
book
you
us
guys
slot
know.
number 1. So, all right, Mark, you want me to go or you want to go?
I can go.
Okay.
Okay, this is a concept that I came up with that I think has potential. It's an idea that's been ruminating for a while, probably all the way back since I saw like Disney and Nickelodeon shows, where everything always got like messy. Like I remember there was always like slime, or someone would get their face in a pie or whatever. And so I was noticing that watching like reels and TikTok, like humorous ones. I was like, interesting, there's a lot of this same, like someone will throw spaghetti up on a wall and I'm like it'll cut, but I'm like, what happened to the spaghetti? Spaghetti's now all over your wall and your counter. So in honor of TikTok, I came up with the idea of a company called Clockwork Cleanup, and it's where you can pay someone to come in and clean up your house after you and your friends have made a mess filming your reels or your TikToks. And so I always thought that would be such an interesting idea for like Nickelodeon shows too, or for Disney, where I was like, who's cleaning up that mess? Like, you're not telling me iCarly, like after she closes the camera, is like, guess I'll have to get out the mop. And like, no, someone else was doing that because she was famous. So I was like, I bet these famous people have like this like hyper elite cleaning service that comes in. So I wanted to do some sort of story with that idea.
This is like Nickelodeon meets the top secret agency from Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it would be what would be great is if it was just a button that when they were done with their thing, that like hit it and it like they're like whoop, 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 like an alert went off at Clockwork Cleanup's headquarters.
Right.
I'm just imagining an orange button that like they've got spaghetti everywhere and they just hit the button and then they're just on their phones editing until
Yeah,
the cleaning crew
and
shows
there's
up.
right, and like the CDA comes in their windows like Monsters Inc. They come in and they're vacuuming up and doing things. They're saving the spaghetti for later. They're putting it in Tupperware. And like
That's funny.
Because like people's dogs will make a mess like with their like they'll eat like toilet paper and stuff. So I just think that could be interesting.
Is this a show in your mind?
I think it is, because I remember there was a failed show that came out a while ago. I think it only had 1 season, but it had something to do with like superheroes were taking over Metropolis, and then it was like these normal people, and you never saw the superheroes, but like I think it was called Powerless. I don't even know if
was it live action?
Yeah, it was live action.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so like things like people would have it was a company that made things to superhero proof your life. Like it was an umbrella that would like save you from debris or things like that. But I picture it like that kind of a show, only it would be successful, where it would be a show about these people and maybe them interacting with the different celebrities. So like you could have a different, if it was a YouTube show, you could have a different YouTube celebrity on, or or TikTok star on every week,
Smart.
and that would be your
Collab.
right, that would be your collab. And so, but it would be about them coming in and cleaning up, so
This is a team, not just like one person, like
I
some
think
old
it's a
man.
team. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, an old man would be great. Like an old guy who runs everything. Yeah.
Because it would be set a little bit in the future where like machines have taken over all fast food work and like nobody works anymore. And he's like, nobody wants to work anymore. Everyone's just on their phones, and he's just like scooping spaghetti into a trash bag.
Yeah.
Because I remember Mike Rowe saying once about dirty jobs, he said the dirty little secret of dirty jobs was that we interviewed more millionaires than like non-millionaires, because people saw the work. These were all people who had seen what everyone else wanted to do, and they'd ran the opposite direction. So, people who run waste cleanup facilities, they're incredibly rich because there's such little competition, even though the job is dirty. So I picture it like that, where like he's an old guy who saw everyone going, that way and like stuck it out. And now he's just rolling in dough or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
And it's also like a good contrast because TikTok is generally like a younger platform with very energetic people throwing things around. And then you have this very old person, or maybe not even very old, just older, and they're much slower and they don't understand what's happening or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So
it might be too many levels, but I think it would be really cool if he used to be one of those like crime scene cleanup people, like the deep clean people who go in after there's been a crime committed and like mop up, so like that's his expertise, but it would be a great, it's probably again too many levels, but if he started solving crimes like in the like that these people were committing, and using his cleanup skills in some way,
that just sets us up for some sort of this ain't CSI
right,
line at some point in the first episode. I feel like this is the middle of an idea though.
Okay.
Because I don't know or maybe we don't need to know what got him into this. Maybe he retired because he had trauma or PTSD from this, and yet he can't just sit at home and his neighbor does a powder run in their living room. Color run in their living room. And so there's just like, I can just imagine like he's on his porch or mowing his lawn and there's just powder coming out of the house next door, and it's not a fire, it's just colored powder streaming out the windows, and he just goes in and cleans up because he can't help it.
Right. And that would be interesting, because I could see him being someone. So it's like you said, in the future, robots have taken over technology. Everything is just brought to your door. So no one's committing crimes anymore because no one needs, it's all just, you just get it and you just consume it like Wall-E. And so, so he's been forced out of his he's been forced into retirement because there's no more crime. But then he realizes I can actually clean up all these people who now just have all this free time and are just making these dumb videos.
And he realizes there are crimes happening.
Right. And then that's when he realizes there are crimes happening.
That could get really, that could
whoa.
go real deep, real fast.
Yeah. So
I need a name for this. Is it just called Clockwork Cleanup Crew?
that's what I called it. I just called it Clockwork Cleanup.
Oh, CC.
Yeah.
Comic Casuals, Clockwork Cleanup. The next one has to have a C involved somehow. So just write that down on the notepad there.
So I think we've solved the beginning and the middle. Well, you said it's a middle. I think we've solved the beginning, and then honestly, I think the end would just be like, because honestly, it's so weird. But if you could get it marketed right, which would be terrible, that all happens in the first pilot. Like the pilot episode is all of that happening, and then from then on, he's just solving crimes, and then it just becomes a serialized show.
Is it a Sherlock Holmes show or is it a psych show? Or are they the same?
Well, I wanted to have some of the elements of, like, honestly, like the TikTok humor or the Vine humor, where it's like short little bits, Like I want the funny things that the video is being made about to be in the show somehow, you know. So I want it to be funny along there.
So
But
it'd be more
yeah,
like Psych, right?
right.
What was the
So
other show again?
Sherlock Holmes or Psych, which they're both
Oh, yeah,
detective shows.
Sherlock is much more serious too, so maybe just Psych.
Yeah, I like
but
it.
I do see it kind of like Up meets Psych, you know, but where it's like old.
All right, I like it. Tim, give us another one. Give us your second idea.
So it's kind of a personal thing to me because I used to do this a lot in junior high. But anyways,
Nice.
a junior high kid named Jimmy gets in trouble for drawing his original characters in his notebook in class. One day, as he was getting scolded by the teacher in front of the class, his characters crash through the wall and tell Jimmy that they need his help. That's one thing that I remember drawing. And I remember my teacher picking up my notebook and giving me this, like, what are you doing face? And like, he like stopped what he was teaching. And then he like kind of did all that. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Well, it's definitely a beginning, right?
Yeah, it could be. It'd
Yeah.
be funny if it was a ending or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not. Yeah.
Let's
It'd be
try
hard
it
to
as an
figure it
ending.
out though.
Yeah,
It'd
let's
be
try
hard
it
to
as an
figure
ending.
out.
No, let's try it as an ending. Mark's right. Perhaps I'm kind of envisioning it like this is almost has Scott Pilgrim vibes.
Well, we don't even know if he knows they exist.
Well, that's what
Right?
I'm saying. Like
Oh,
it leads us up to the end where all of a sudden bang, right?
yeah.
But that
It's-
makes me wonder. Oh, sorry, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Go, Mark.
I was just gonna say it would be interesting if he was if he was daydreaming, you know, having these adventures with them the whole movie, you know, and in the end it kind of feels like it was a dream. Again, I'm spitballing. Like again, it feels like it was a dream, but then all of a sudden they crash through the wall and they need his help, and you realize, oh, all of that was real, and him sitting in class was actually the thing that was kind of the temporary situation. You know what I mean? Like you would flip the reality on its head. Where
I like the idea of the Scott Pilgrim thing though. Like it's kind of like a normal world, but they all do these really insane things.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be really interesting. I mean, so one more thing on my take before I leave is, or before I give it over to someone else, is it would just be so interesting because we've seen cartoon elements interacting with the real world, right? But the real world is always the thing that feels grounded. But it would be so interesting to have a cartoon world where the real world was the thing that was fake or cartoon or fantastical, you know? Like that juxtaposition would be interesting.
So I think I know how to solve that. He starts to realize that things he's doodling appear in, so he doodles a baseball bat or he doodles a dog, and then a dog that he doodled comes by his yard, or he doodles a baseball and it crashes through the window. So almost like setting up, like in the first act, it crashes through the window. In the third act, these characters crash through the wall, right? So that is what helps us. That's what helps us make the real world feel very strange, because he just keeps he keeps having this notebook that if he tears out a page or if he shows it to someone, that's when it becomes reality, right? Like it's almost like show your work, or like draw something, but don't hide it from the world. So like if his mom happens to pick his notebook up and see something, then it becomes reality. Or right, he shows it
Oh
to
my
his
goodness.
friends, and then what he showed to his friends becomes reality. So then he's just trying to figure all this out, and he kind of goes further into his notebook, creates these characters that he feels like he can escape with, and then ends up escaping with them.
That would be the climax. The thing that the teacher thinks is taking him away from what he's doing and scolding him. It's the fact that other people look at it that brings life. David, you're amazing. Okay, that's great. Wow, I like that idea a lot.
What's the name of it?
Oh man, I don't know.
The Creative Kid. We have the C.
The C.
Creative Child.
The Creative Child. We have
cartoonist.
Yeah, the creative cartoonist. We need the CC thing to continue.
No, I like drawing from life or something like that. Like it's like a play on, like, you're supposed to draw from life to improve as an artist, but he's like drawing to life or something like that. Drawn to life.
Drawing to life is good. Yeah.
Or yeah, drawn to life. I like that one. That's cool. I like that. All right.
Sounds good to me.
Is it my turn?
It is.
Yep.
All right. So I have this thing. I actually have my notebook open to it, and I'm gonna try to show you guys that watch this little. But it's just called it. In my mind, it's just called Not a Pirate. And I've shared this with Mark before, but it's a guy who's about a head shorter than everyone else, and he wears an eye patch, and he's not a pirate. And he knows all these nautical terms, and he talks about all the ships he's sailed on, but he's not a pirate. And he works a regular job, and even maybe has sometimes he has a hook for a hand for no reason, but he's not a pirate, you know? And then this cartoon, I don't know if you guys can see it, but they're standing here. It's probably reading the wrong way. This very bright light appears, whoomp, and this guy goes, aliens again. He goes, they're early this time. And it's just a 3-panel cartoon. And I don't know what that means or why it's there, but this is my idea. It's half-baked. It's a story called Not a Pirate. So help me out with this.
Yeah.
So there are aliens in this world as well.
I don't know.
I think it'd be cool if there were, and he has to save the day.
But he's not a pirate.
Yeah, but he's not a pirate, but his love for things pirate can help him, or can help save the day or whatever. I'm a very super heroic genre person, so it comes out every single time. So,
no, this is great. I love the theme of this episode. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So this feels like what you showed us feels like a pearls before swine.
Oh yeah.
Idea, where he's not a pirate. So I like it a lot. I'm a huge fan of Not a Pirate. Anytime you send me anything Not a Pirate related, I'm in. I do think it would be interesting if his, like Tim said, his nautical knowledge, because it would be, I love movies where the same thing is said 3 different times throughout the movie and it means something different each time, So when he says I'm not a pirate in the beginning, it means that everyone needs to get off my back. I am not a pirate, But then in the middle, it's a symbolism of his failure. He's like, I'm not a pirate. I can't help. I cannot help you because what you need is a pirate and I'm not a pirate, And then in the end, what they need is someone who is noble, who is heroic, who will always do the right thing, who is consistent, who is not afraid to be the little guy. And they need someone in the end who is not a pirate, because everyone tries to help, and someone just goes, we need someone who's not a pirate, and he goes, I'm not a pirate. And it would mean something different all 3 times. I love stories like that. So
man, that's good.
I like it. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah, I don't know if I have
because it could just
anything-
bring you to tears. He's like, I'm not a pirate,
I'm not a pirate.
Yeah. Or because he's rescuing someone, right, who has been abducted by aliens, who's been through all of these things, and he says, don't worry, I'm not a pirate. And that gets then the person is relieved to hear that. It goes from being something that is annoying to so many and that is an irritation to him, to being the fact that that's his identity is the very thing that helps save someone who has been abducted,
See, this is why I brought it to the table tonight.
Man, I'm about to cry.
Yeah. Not a pirate.
I can just see his hook just falling very slowly in the rain, before he decides he's not a pirate for the last time. It's good.
Yeah. And then he just kind of hitches away, and you realize he has a wooden leg. He has a wooden leg.
Because we've only seen this much of him the whole movie.
You just hear a thunk. Thunk.
And it's literally like the Inception top, where you're like, wait, you just hear 1, 2 thunks, and then the movie cuts, and you're like, wait a minute.
Okay, cool. I love it. I'm sorry I couldn't. I guess that's on the high seas. I guess that's how I'll contribute to
On the high seas. That's good.
That's how I'll contribute here tonight to the theme that we've got going on. But
Nice.
I'm
What's the
excited.
name of this episode gonna be?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll come to that. It's the creative
Nice.
community conglomerate, so we'll be fine.
Just
But
for this episode.
so we've had Cosmic Casuals, we've had Clockwork Cleanup, we've had the Creative Child. No, Drawn to Life is what we called that one. And then we have not a pirate. So I'm excited, Tim. Give us your third one here.
Okay. So I actually started coming up with a new concept again. I'm coming up with a new concept before I even finish my first one.
Oh yeah.
But
Every artist out there knows exactly what's going on.
oh man, the pain. But okay, so this is the idea that I had. So a husband and wife scientists, they pass away tragically after an accident, and they leave a will for their 4 superhero, again, superhero stuff, superhero android children. Okay, they're
Whoa.
not necessarily like kids, but they're like their sons and daughters to them. They're creations. The youngest siblings are really excited and really happy to see what was in the will, but the oldest 2 are not. And that's it. That's all I have. I don't know.
Wow. This could be a beginning, a middle, an end, a prequel. Like, this could be the pilot. This could be the final episode.
It's
Yeah.
a great concept. It's a great prompt, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
it's a very good prompt.
Which way you lean in here, Mark? We already did the hard job of using his prompt as the end. So,
Mhm.
and
We
we've
should
used
just take a break. Take a break. Take the easy road.
the cosmic casuals were both the beginning and the middle. So we're really, we do whatever we want to with this one.
It's the end credit scene. No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
do we see, like, where do we open? Like, do we open with this person making sure that everyone's in attendance as they're about to read out this will, and then we see flashbacks of mom and dad throughout the reading?
We open at a funeral because all great movies start in funerals.
Start or end at funerals?
Yep, you got to start or end with a funeral.
A wedding or a funeral, right?
A wedding or a funeral. There's never been a bad movie made that started with a wedding or a funeral. So I think just to guarantee this movie's box office success, we should start with a funeral, mom and dad's funeral, right?
How many other androids are in attendance? That's what I want to know.
Besides the 4.
Oh yeah,
So
sorry. This is your guys' thing.
No, we need you to help. But like, that's what I'm asking you: is the 4 kids the only androids in this story?
I would like
that
to
we
think
know
they're
of.
the only ones that that we know of in this entire world.
Okay.
So the mom and dad are very like prestigious scientists, mechanics, whatever you
This is
call
a
it,
Big Hero
engineers.
6 type vibe.
I'm also getting like Umbrella Academy.
Yeah,
now that
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about it.
yeah. Because I'm wondering why mom and dad like made these kids. You know, because like they had to have some sort of knowledge about why the world would need these androids, and that's what's in the will. And I wonder if the will has some sort of clause in it that you have to like, you know, is it only, is you just open it when they die, or is it like when you fulfill this thing, then you get to see what the will says?
Yeah. I do think, this is just off the top of my head, I do think that it would be, one thing that would work is the older kids are not happy because the will talks about how there's something wrong with the 2 of them that they got right in the last 2.
Ooh.
And so it's setting up this 2-on-2, battle. That's basically good. That eventually will happen. So I do think that would be helpful for conflict right off the bat. For some reason, I just want interpersonal conflict this evening. I just am looking for it everywhere. So,
sibling conflict is very relatable too. So,
yeah. Right.
Definitely could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be about a family coming together in the face of tragedy instead of falling apart, right? Like they could be almost torn apart.
Yeah.
And then,
Umbrella Academy once again. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
on it's like kind of like subconsciously in my head right now.
It's okay, because once you steal 2 ideas, then you have a new idea.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So all we have to do is just borrow like Rocket League and just pair it with Umbrella Academy, and we have the next smash hit. And I know Rocket League is a video game, and I know it's probably outdated, but what would it look like but anyway, all that.
Yeah. No,
all
I
that
mean,
to say. Yeah.
Rocket League is 2 ideas: cars and soccer. They stole them, they put them together. It's a great idea.
Right.
So this is the same thing where we just, like maybe they were okay. I know you said they're the only androids we know of, but like maybe the parents knew that there's this arena that this planet's going to have to represent at, and they know that the current people on the planet are just going to get like BattleBot, like sawed in half, like no mercy, right? And so they've been training. Oh, this makes me think of another story that I've been wanting to write for a long time, but they've been building these warriors, right? And like the will is going to say to older kids, do not go because you will not survive. And yet they have that like older kid responsibility. And they're like, what you need to do is train your younger, like the will is train your siblings. Ooh,
Right.
ooh.
That's-
now we're cooking.
Yeah, that's what I want the will to say is congratulations, you're coaches,
Yeah.
instead of congratulations, you're warriors. Like that would be so cool for the will to be like, we had the smarts figured out, but we didn't have the mechanics for the physical attributes yet. So therefore, you guys, if you all work together, if you two pair up and you two pair up, you can coach the younger ones to it. But
How many siblings do you have, Tim?
Just one. I have an older sister.
Okay, so like traditionally in our circles, like the oldest, and I mean even in just the world, like the oldest gets the biggest amount of blessing, but also the biggest amount of responsibility, right? So that's this idea. You have this huge responsibility. If you do not help your siblings become better at fighting and strategy, the world ends, right? Like this civilization ceases to exist. It is on your shoulders. And only by coming together can you do that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah. Man, I have an alternate pitch that's like the exact opposite of everything that we're saying, but I like this direction. So
I want to hear it.
Oh, you want to hear it? Okay.
This is for the Patreon subscribers.
I really want the will to say that I want the will to say that mom and dad were like not good at science and that they were really good at marketing. And so they have marketed themselves as these amazing scientists, but they don't actually know what they're doing. And like either they purchased the androids from somewhere else, or they or they're actually human kids, but they just like told them their whole life that they're androids, so they think
Oh, that's
different.
so messed up, but it's so good.
Right,
It's so good.
But I just think it would be so funny if you start out and it's so dramatic, it's so Oscorp, it's so all this stuff. There's a funeral, there's all these things, and you show up to the reading.
Yeah, the kids are like,
right, exactly. Yeah, they show up to the reading of the will, and it's just like your parents were complete hacks. They knew nothing of what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Because now you
don't even know where you came from.
Yeah,
right.
You leave these kids just out there, like
right, and that would make the older two really mad because they had scholarships lined up and they had all this stuff and they were going to the whatever, But the young two are going to be so relieved that now they get to just be normal because they didn't want any of that life to begin with. So that still keeps your idea of it makes the older two mad, the younger two happy. But
that's cool. Oh man.
We'll send you the recording of this, Tim, so you can put it in the files.
Yeah, I want to start drawing them right now.
I just love that idea of like him making the sounds with his mouth, like just like looking at his hand. He's not actually an android, and he's just making android sounds while he plays with his hand at the reading of the will. And like the guy, it's the little kid, right? And he goes, "You guys are not androids," and he goes, like looks at the camera or whatever.
And it's just them going through an identity like it's that idea. To me, it would be the idea of like, it would be an amplified or exaggerated idea of that day you wake up as a kid and something happens and you realize your parents aren't God or they aren't perfect, and you're just like your whole reality is shattered. It would be an exploration of that, but it would be just magnified times a million, So
that's cool.
I love it. All right. Well, Tim, man, thanks for joining us. This was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous at first, but yeah, it was really fun.
I hope we didn't like destroy any of your ideas. I hope we made them better.
They're definitely better at this point. I guarantee
Okay, great.
You.
Well, I'm excited to see the future of Cosmic Casuals. I always love when you post about them because they're really. I loved watching the characters come to life. Like you'd post a new character, you'd be like, "New Cosmic Casual revealed." I was always imagining it was like a video game and they were like shaded and we were like unlocking them as we went along. New character unlock,
like Smash Bros. Oh, here's,
yeah. You have to follow. You have to follow Tim for long enough to unlock all the characters.
Yeah.
And then and you've been learning composition with them, which is awesome. So like that's been cool. So I'm excited, like I said, to see when they finally reach their full potential.
Me too, because I don't know where this is going.
You're gonna get there. You're gonna get there. I promise.
Yes, hopefully.
Keep going.
Once again, thank you so much to Tim for coming on the podcast and doing half-baked stories with us. He is someone who we have been wanting to do half-baked stories with for a long time. So we're excited to have him on and to hear his ideas. So you can follow him again. I hope you were following along as he talked about Cosmic Casuals with his Instagram. But if you need that Instagram handle again, it is at TIMOOEE_. And that is Tim Uy.
Man, Mark, this episode was really fun because it was a member of our creative community coming together with us to make something cool. And that's what gets me going. Like I just get really excited when we get to do stuff with people who are cool and that we admire their work and we admire their skill level. And Tim is one of those people, and he's been on the podcast before. If you haven't listened to that episode, go find that one. I think it's called it's called Creative Block. Creative Block with Tim Uy. That one actually is a really helpful episode for people who are like stuck, because Tim just has some great concepts about like, if you're stuck trying to make something, here's what you should be trying to do. So if you want to listen to that, subscribe to the Creative Community Podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Spreaker, Amazon. The other day I said, "Hey Alexa," and it played the Creative Community Podcast. It was pretty awesome. I sent Mark a video of me with I was like a grandpa, like, look, it's our baby. So, but yeah, if you want to hear the interview with Tim or more episodes like this one, be sure to follow us there. Leave us a comment, leave us a review. It tells the algorithm that you liked us, and that helps us out a lot.
You can also connect with us through Facebook and Instagram, Destination Arete, ARETE, and you can get updates for notifications about future episodes like this one, upcoming community activities, those kind of things. So we highly recommend that you follow us on social media, because that is going to be a great way to hear kind of what's coming up, what we've got on the docket. And so we try to keep you up to date there. The other super exclusive, super high-end, awesome option is to subscribe to our newsletter. So you can subscribe to our newsletter by sending an email to destinationarete@gmail.com. That is going to allow you to be the first person to hear about those updates. You're going to get exclusive stuff that other people don't get. You're going to hear about the schedule that's coming out, the episodes we've got coming out in the future before anyone else does. So that is the perk to signing up for the newsletter. David does a great job of putting that together for us. So I highly recommend you guys sign up.
All right, folks. Well, that will do it for us on this episode of the Creative Community Podcast. Boy, I said that a little too fast, but only thing that means is that we'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. We'll see you guys then.